the water prohibition order takes effect on Friday, this Friday, a couple of days from now, May 26th. And with us now to give us more details on this, Delano Williams is acting corporate public relations manager with the NWC. Morning, Delano. Welcome to Smile.
Good morning.
We were talking before I came in.
Yes.
And I know you've had restrictions. I can't remember hearing this word prohibition, but you said this happened maybe about 4 or 5 years ago?
Yes, just about. And good morning to you.
Yeah.
Good morning to your viewers.
Yeah.
And
We have listeners too, no problem.
Listeners too, yes. So
prohibition as opposed to restrictions.
Right.
Give me the difference there.
So the difference is really the extremes, right? Prohibition tells us we are in a more extreme state of water shortages, hence water lockoffs. And what we're saying by prohibition is that we are urging persons to use water only for essential purposes. So cooking, bathing, washing, sanitation, just generally those.
When you say washing, you're talking about laundry.
Washing of laundry. Yes, washing of laundry. Thank you for that. So those are the essentials that we're asking persons for. So we do have restrictions. We've had them since about February 6th, where persons are already being regulated, so to speak, across the corporate area. In other parishes, they receive water on varying schedules. But now, with the levels we are seeing, with the fact that we are already 20 odd days into May, and we still have not seen significant rainfall, especially for the two major systems in Kingston, we now have had to extend further to say, guys, we need your help.
Yep. Just before Garth, you said especially the two major systems in Kingston.
Right.
Does that suggest that we are having rain elsewhere?
No, it does. Well, we're having rains elsewhere, but not significant rains either. For instance, Portland, which is typically one of the wettest places, is now East Portland is now one of the driest places that we have seen. The Met Office tells us that since October of last year, we have started to see drier than normal conditions. And just to give you some numbers to help you to appreciate it, we have systems that are below 10% or running at 10%.
Capacity.
Yeah, like for instance, a Long Bay in East Portland. So there is little or no water for areas like Long Bay, Rural Hill, and its environs. Ferry Hill also impacted. And so we are having to balance what small inflows are coming in and to see how best we can distribute to as many persons as possible and augment those piped water supplies with trucking, etc.
So the prohibition is not just for the corporate area, because you get the impression sometimes that it's really mainly about the corporate area, but it's really not just the corporate area. We're talking, you just mentioned Portland.
Yes,
for example.
Right.
Now, when we think of the corporate area, though, the Mona Reservoir and the Hermitage Dam?
Right. No.
Right.
Yes, Hermitage Dam. So the distinction, one siphons the water, hence a dam. So the water is channeled away from the river source. And the reservoir is really like a big tank. So it's a reserve. And two rivers flow into it, the Yalas River and also the Hope River. Right.
Now, what's the capacity at the moment? Should we be worried? I mean, when it's a prohibition, it's serious. But how worried should we be?
We need to be, we're not here to create panic.
Right, of course not.
Because we're managing. What we're saying is that we have to manage more. Right? But we are at 32% at Mona.
Which is dire.
Yes, it's significantly low.
Yeah, because safety is about 70%, don't it?
Yes, safety is 70%. Typically, when you get to, say, a January, the Mona would be still at capacity. This year, we were already bordering on 90%, meaning we were falling off. So Christmas into January, the reservoir and the dams are filled. The Hermitage, for instance, was down to 70% as at January 31st, meaning we'd already fallen by 25%. So, as I said, what we're having to do now with the restrictions, which have been in place since February, is to manage this small amount to say we can't use as much water as we normally use at those 70-80 percentile ranges. We have to cut back and cut back significantly. So persons across the corporate area, for instance, they are served of just about 12 hours. And some persons will tell us that the reality is they are sometimes not getting their full 12 hours. And those go with the fluctuations in the river inflows. Some days it's good.
Right.
A few days now we've been seeing cooler conditions around parts of Kingston. And there is a little bit of an improvement, like for instance, Constant Spring again is running at just about 500,000 in rise. But 500,000 in the scheme of things is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
Those systems require like 9-10 million gallons a day to supply the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for how long will we have to endure this? I mean, obviously, you're not a meteorologist, but should these conditions prevail,
yes,
are we looking at even further or tighter restrictions and prohibitions? What's the
yes,
yeah,
a very real possibility, ladies and gentlemen. We may come to that. We are looking at the fact that we are in May. May and June are generally one of the wet seasons. July, which is just down the road, is not yet, is normally one of the drier periods.
Garth already said you're not with the Met Office, but what is the Met Office saying officially?
Well, their official thing was to forecast, as per normal, to say we should expect some rains.
When?
This month into June.
Okay.
We're seeing some rainfall, but they had also tempered it to say it has to be a significant and prolonged set of rainfall.
And finally, before we go, you said what we can do. What can't we do or shouldn't be doing?
All right. So we talked about all the essentials, the cooking, the washing, etc. But we also now need to stop washing of cars with the hoses, no gardening. So the gardening, the watering of the lawns, that's a no-no. The washing of buildings, outhouses, pavements, persons just come out and wash their pavements off. No, that's a no-no. Any excessive use of water is prohibited at this time.
how is it enforced?
Well, we're monitoring the places. We are going through all the hills and valleys, the towns, and we are checking to see where. And we're also encouraging persons to tell us if they observe this kind of behavior anywhere.